Welcome to the Misophonia podcast. This is episode 1. My name is Adil Ahmad and I have Misophonia. This week I'm talking to Gisselle from Denver. She was, I think, the first person to sign up as soon as I dropped some hints about the podcast on Reddit. Remember, if you want to be a guest, just go to misophoniapodcast.com and click the Be a Guest link to easily grab a time slot. Most slots are booked for the rest of the year, but keep checking back. Before we get started, just a reminder that I'm adding some brown noise to the background of all these interviews, in case you're wondering why this sounds so different from other podcasts. I'd love to get your feedback on that or anything about the show. Just email hello@misophoniapodcast.com or through any social channel. I'm getting stickers with the logo and want to give them away, especially to early listeners. So if you want to email a mailing address, I'll send you some. Alright, that's more than enough from me. Here's my conversation with Gisselle. So welcome, Gisselle. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you.
I guess let's start. Tell me a little bit about you. Like, where in the world are you? There's probably listeners from everywhere.
Right now, I live in Denver, Colorado. I've lived here my whole life, so yeah.
So what do you do? Are you like a student, or do you work somewhere in an office, or?
Yeah, I go to school downtown. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was at the convention last week in Denver, and there was definitely, this is the first time they had 2 tracks. They actually had a family track, so there was a lot of students, a lot of people who have problems in school. How is it, I guess, at the school you're at?
So now that I have like smaller classes, now that I'm wrapping up my degree, yeah, it's a lot better because it's a lot smaller classes. There's not like 200 people or 100 people in a lecture. And it's also like older students too, for the most part. So
that could be good or bad, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, okay. And then, so how are you coping with it? Like, what are, I don't want to get too much into like, triggers because they can kind of like set some people off. But like, how do you handle it with it? I see you got AirPods on, so I'm sure having stuff in your ears, as for me, is key.
Yeah, I had never really made the association, but like since my freshman year of school, I've always just have headphones on where I'm walking or like on the bus or anything. Yeah, so that's definitely the moment class is over, headphones go in, and then it's like that when I'm at the library. On the bus home always. Yeah, so headphones are definitely super important. Can't leave the house without them.
Yeah. Do you only have AirPods? Do you only have AirPods, or do you have other form factors as well?
Yeah, I had the Beats, like the actual headphones. Yep. Those were really nice. I just I just snapped the thing, so I don't use them anymore, but they still work. And then I had the Beats wireless before I got the AirPods, and I like those a lot too. Yeah,
I always have Bluetooth, and then I always have wired too, like something that's wired in case I lose batteries.
Exactly. The AirPods is really convenient though, because like the carrier for them charges them, so it's super cool.
So I don't know if you've seen the Pros, but the Pros that are coming out next year have the. So for me, the normal AirPods don't fit in my ear, but I need the in-ear, and these ones have them. So I'm like,
yeah, I did see that. And then like they also are like saying that they are noise canceling too. So I wonder if they're better than these. Yeah,
that'll be interesting to see how they do that with. Yeah, well, I guess if they're in-ear, it'll be easier to noise cancel. But I switched to Pixel because I wanted to keep the the small headphone jack. So like Google's coming out with something later this year too, so I'm excited about that.
Nice. Cool to hear that it's like not completely obsolete, the audio jack.
Yep. For now, at least.
Definitely.
So I guess that's kind of how you're coping with it now. So going back, like how long have you had this?
So like as far as I could remember, because I have 2 younger brothers. They're actually my half brothers. So their stepdad, like, I feel like he was the first person that would really trigger me. Just like eat with his mouth open, and it'd be like really noisy and just like really gross. And then my brothers, like he modeled that behavior for them, and then they would do the same. So I'd be sitting there, and it'd be like 2 or 3 of them, and I'd be like, oh my god. And then after like. So
your mom too at all, or was it mainly your dad?
So my stepdad, when eating, my mom would just kind of like be making like sounds with her teeth, and that kind of bugged me, or like but mostly my stepdad and brothers really. So like probably the biggest trigger is like chewing and hearing and eating, like seeing people like chew with their mouth open or hearing it, that's
Yep.
probably the biggest one.
That's interesting. I distinctly remember just a few days ago at the convention, there was like almost 10 of us around some table, and everybody's first triggers was their dad, specifically.
Like, yeah, and he's like my stepdad, so there's even more like turmoil
Interesting. Yep.
there. Yeah. He's just like this volatile person all in all. So yeah, and then I had never really like today I took some survey questions for a study about like someone was asking for people to take a survey in the Misophonia subreddit. So I took it, and then yeah, I was asking like who triggers you, and I had never realized that this person was just an awful person in my life, period. So it's kind of crazy
So your
to
relationship
think about.
outside of the misophonia is not ideal, saying that this is just kind of adds to it, or it's just
I feel like this is where it began, and
yeah.
then it kind of follows me elsewhere. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like even at work, hearing people eat, like
Yeah.
it's a lot. Yeah. Or tapping and stuff in class too. Like people shaking their leg. I can see it and hear it. It's a lot. So
Right.
I'll sit in the front of the class always, so I don't
Oh
have to see
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Oh, so you can't. You're right. So is another thing that came up that I know is
Mhm.
visual triggers accompany misophonia a lot, and I'm hearing more of that, or at
Definitely.
least it's being identified. Like people are starting to make that connection. That
100%.
visual
Yeah.
triggers are yeah, part and parcel.
Definitely.
Going back to your, I'm just curious when you first kind of like when it first started bothering you, how did you handle it then? Obviously, you didn't know what the term misophonia was. I was
Mm-mm.
wondering, were you confused? Was it like, oh, this is definitely the mouth
Well,
thing and there's something?
like
Did you ever feel guilty, like I'm, something wrong
guilty
with me?
kind of, yes, for
Yeah,
like yelling at my brother and stuff. But then I also like when I was growing up with it, I was like, it's a manner thing, like
yeah,
manners, like an etiquette thing, like just please chew with your mouth closed, or like please don't smack your food. So that's kind of like I thought it was just like these people don't have table manners.
yeah.
But yeah,
And then
so
so did the triggers then in your life kind of expand beyond that? Then obviously then to
yeah,
tapping and
yeah, definitely. Even like breathing sometimes. Even like in elementary school, like we'd be taking like a standardized exam, right, and then everyone has to be quiet. Yeah, someone's breathing, or like just like noises like the body makes, kind of.
right, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah, no, I know all about that, yeah. And so I guess you accommodate it, well, at least you cope with it with headphones. Does the school do any kind of accommodations for you? Have you talked to anybody there, or is it just like you're bottling it up for now?
Yeah, kind of more like me just dealing with it, and then also, I would say like maybe less than a year ago, I was officially diagnosed with ADHD. So like that has helped me like get back on track in terms of college. And I haven't asked for any accommodations in terms of that, but I feel like I should for like say an exam to be able to take it in complete silence would just help a lot. So I should definitely reach out to the disability section of my institution and check that out.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. So you were diagnosed officially with ADHD. Any official diagnosis for misophonia through, I don't know, audiologist or anybody, or that's just
Not
not
quite
yet?
yet. Yeah, just like definitely just self-diagnosed because like the
Yeah, that's
rage and
not
like
uncommon.
all these things. Yeah. But yeah, actually, I have not brought it up with a therapist. So my therapist, I definitely should do that.
Gotcha. And it has so whatever, I don't know what your therapist or whoever are doing for your ADHD. I'm just curious, do you think, is that getting better, and has working on the ADHD helped your miso at all? Or is it totally
Um,
separate,
so
in your
being
opinion?
medicated has helped me a lot. So we're treating it in that way, and it's helped me a lot. And just like actually being able to focus in class, and kind of direct my focus a little bit
Hmm.
better. But yeah, I feel like it helped not pay attention to the noises my
Yeah,
classmates are making, especially if I'm sitting at the front and stuff like that. So that helped. Also, just feel like in this one class I have, there's not just many like people don't eat and stuff in class, so that just like takes away the issue to begin with.
right. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not a therapist, but when we were at the convention, one of the bartenders was saying a similar thing where she's like, I can hear everything across the room. Everything seems like it's at the same volume. And I won't say who, but one of the therapists there said, You know what I tell my patients is to kind of listen to like extremely loud music and just your ears are too sensitive. Just deaden them. Now,
Yeah.
I wouldn't, I'm not going to tell anybody to do
To
that, but
judge, yeah.
that was just an interesting thing, and she's quite serious about it. So,
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I feel like I've aided in like my hearing loss because I would like when I was younger, I'd fall asleep with like headphones on, and my like
yeah,
parents would be like, "Don't do that." Like it's not, but like yeah, I've always like loud music and stuff. But regardless, still like the trigger sounds are still a lot, and I can still hear
yeah.
them. So yeah, but loud music, it's always turned all the way up. Does help a lot on public transportation and stuff.
So obviously, it sounds like your family doesn't seem to like you know know much about it.
Yeah.
Do you have anyone else around who is supported? Like, have you told other people, or is it just completely just it's just you basically?
Yeah, so I share this information with like my brother, but yeah, not
Mm.
usually most people just because it doesn't come off of like the top of my head to bring it up.
It's not
Because
mainstream
if
yet,
they,
or yeah.
yeah, or if they are making this noise, I go out of my way to just put my headphones on or remove myself from the situation or like leave. But yeah, I feel bad like telling people like, hey, please don't eat like this or that. Like I would feel guilty
Yeah.
almost
Oh
like
yeah.
telling them. So that's why I just remove myself from the situation.
So how did you
Yeah.
maybe when how did you self-diagnose initially? Did you just read it? Did you Google for it, or did you come across an article or something?
Yeah, I came across like something that was like, oh, this thing is like a disorder. And I was like, oh my God, there's a name for this
Yeah.
thing. Like I didn't have to like kind of research like it was like, oh no, there's a name for this thing and I know I have these triggers and these issues. So
How
it
did
was
that make you
really
feel?
cool to
Was it like a
find.
relief, or was it like emotionally just like, oh my God, this is explains so much, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
I wish I knew
definitely
someone to
feel
tell
like
me.
it's a relief. Definitely when I learn these like things or that could explain like disorder that like put everything, yeah, make everything make sense. So yeah, so I was like, okay, it's not entirely my fault that I'm being irrational. Like I'm not the only one. I'm not just crazy. So that was nice. But yeah, and then just like but reading about that, there's not really like much to do other than like control our response to the stimuli. Uh, that's kind of like bittersweet. I don't know.
Right. So, and in your readings, like, have you obviously there's there's headphones, but I don't know. There was like one track. There was one. There's one lecture or whatever talk last week about like trying CBD. There's like devices you can put in that are not they're not iPods, but they're like just a white noise kind of things. Have you gone to that length to kind of like research other stuff, or
Sure.
you're just like, oh well, the headphones are enough? I mean, for me personally, like headphones are kind of enough for me for now at least, and I can remove myself from the situation too.
Of
But
course,
I'm just curious
yeah.
if you've heard of other mechanisms or tried anything or curious.
Yeah, sure. So actually a few weeks ago I like came across something or like an article or something talking about like white noise and brown noise and pink noise. And I was like, okay, cool. It was more like to help focus, right? And I was like kind of venturing like looking up things to help me be more efficient with my study time. So I came
Hmm.
across this, yeah. And then I actually really like it. I really like pink noise and brown noise because they're at a lower frequency. So yeah, I do like those things a lot. I always have my fan on in my room, and I didn't realize that that is like a
Yeah.
thing that acts as white noise and neutralizes sound. So, kind of also made sense. I was like, okay, that's cool. But yeah, I definitely will do that. It helps again, like when I'm in the library or trying to study, it really does help block out noises.
Yeah, definitely. So this podcast, I'm planning to put brown noise in the background just because
Just yeah,
I don't know what we're gonna hear. So it's like it might drive me crazy, or I would hate to drive
100%.
everybody crazy. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
When you listen
background
to a
noise will sound like we're
podcast,
basically
yeah.
in a rainforest or something, or I might actually use a beach sound or whatever.
No,
I
yeah,
think
that's super
we'd be the
awesome.
first podcast to have like add like injected sound. I think would be kind of
That would be
interesting.
really cool. Yeah, I like that. And that would control for a lot of like sound things. Yeah, 100%. Because I
And
definitely feel that when I'm listening to.
it'd be cool to like ask the guests like what would you like in the background, and then everyone is kind of different. It could be death metal, or it could be just white noise or
Yeah,
whatever.
maybe have themes. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
But
When you listen to a podcast and you can hear all of these things in the back. Yeah,
yeah,
not do
exactly,
it.
exactly. Cool. So okay, so there's nobody else. So you don't have any friends or that habit too, or are there any meetups? So I know I went to the convention last week, but I'm just curious if you've reached out for any like meetups and stuff. One thing that I've noticed since the last convention is there has been kind of a push, and maybe that's one reason why I started the podcast to have more like in real life kind of like meetups, because people have found that these conversations kind of like, at least when we get together, just kind of helps a lot. I'm just curious if you've looked around in Denver for stuff like that or not.
Actually, I do have like a coworker and we've touched on this topic. And yeah, we
Mm.
both are like actually, yeah, are very like sensitive to these things. And then it's kind of funny because like when we eat together, it's like both very mindful almost, right? Like we don't want to I'm conscious of the way I eat, right? Because I would hate for other people to feel like I almost imagine other people hear it amplified as I do or react the same way. So it's kind of funny, yeah, how like she also has these feelings. So yeah, how she carries herself around like dining and stuff is interesting.
Yeah, that was
Other
interesting.
than
But
that, yeah.
that was interesting about being at the convention. It was like the first time that we were all especially mindful, because it's kind of like being in the other person's shoes. Um,
Exactly.
and so and your other coworker. Can mind if I what kind of work that is? Like, is it
Sure.
in?
Yeah, me and my friends bake together. So yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
Yeah,
so
some
I'm just
yeah,
curious, like what?
some
Yeah,
edibles. Yeah, like
gotcha.
edibles with like THC and yeah.
Right. I was curious because some, like, if you're sitting in a cubicle, that can be a terrible thing. But if you're
Definitely.
baking,
Yeah,
then
it's
have
a really
music
relaxed
on, and
environment.
it's
Yeah, we're
relaxed,
hanging
obviously.
out,
Yeah.
kind of doing stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I could just remove myself. If like people start eating, I'll just like leave, go somewhere else, go outside, put my headphones on if they're
Yep.
not already in. Yep.
Well, that could be part of the therapy too. I mean, I didn't. I sat into one of those, talk on CBD. I haven't
Cool.
tried that as a therapy yet, but I was quite curious. So that'd
Yeah.
be interesting if it kind of like works in with your work, some potential therapies for this.
Yeah, definitely. I use THC regularly, but I've never thought about it like to use it as therapeutically for this. So yeah, that'd be kind of cool
Yeah,
to
you
really
might want
see,
to
yeah,
Google
investigate
for that.
implications.
I'm still kind of researching that stuff too, but yeah, there might be something there. But this
I
is a
think so, yeah.
neurological, this is a neurological thing ultimately. So we're
100%.
we're still early in the research for that, but hopefully we'll figure things out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I know, a lot of people are out there who are used to bottling this up, so they're all going to benefit from hearing this, and we'll be able to relate.
100%. I'm excited to hear about others' experiences.
Well, obviously, I'll be talking about like the convention and
Hmm.
the one upcoming next year. I think it'd be cool to have yeah, if you can try to make it up to Philly, that would be
Definitely. That'd be cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's an interesting little group.
No, yeah, check that out. Like, it would be really cool to learn more, just continue to learn more about this. So yeah, definitely want to check it out.
Cool. Well, yeah. Thanks so much for being
No,
on an
yeah.
episode of this new Misophonia podcast.
Of course. No, thank you for doing this and thank you for having me.
And that's our first episode. Thank you for listening. And make sure to subscribe to hear more stories of misophonia. I have people from all over the world coming up on future episodes. I'd love to hear from you. Email hello@misophoniapodcast.com. Follow on Twitter at Misophonia Show, or on Facebook and Instagram at Misophonia Podcast. The music is by Moby. Until next week, wishing you peace and quiet.